Hello everyone! Today we are going to tell you about the case of Flight Transportation Corporation. Flight Transportation Corporation in November 1979 opened the stock market at $3.25, earning about $1 million, but that was only the start. In 80 and 81, the rapidly growing company reported revenues of $8 million and $24.8 million. FTC's dramatic growth caught a lot of attention from the investors. Their outstanding performance were particularly impressive. On June 1882, a suit of attorneys from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission arose, resulting in the shutting down of the company. The truth was, FTC didn't really do any business. The question is, how can the auditors miss such huge details from 79 to 82? So here's the story. First meet Mr. Harrington, the audit engagement team, Mr. Arnott as the audit manager, and Mr. Rubin, the FTC director. Those three are the main parties who are responsible for the audit process. In 1980, the auditing process, Harrington and Arnott discovered that most of FTC's revenue were generated from a contractual arrangement with International Air System, a company also owned by the president of FTC, William Rubin. Unfortunately, the staff auditor could not find any documentary support for FTC's $5.2 million of air charter revenues. Arnott asked FTC's controller to supply the documentation for the air charter revenues. However, despite Rubin's interest to finish the audit as soon as possible, he repeatedly stalled the auditors when they asked for the documentation. Computer malfunction served as Rubin's most popular excuse for failing to turn over the requested document to the audit team. Only a few days before the projected completion date for the 1980 audit, Rubin finally provided the Fox auditors with evidence to support the suspicious air charter revenues. The first evidence was a brief and ambiguous one-page contract between IAS and FTC. The second item, another one-page document, listed the number of charter flights flown for FTC on IAS aircraft and resulting revenues for FTC. Harrington accepted Rubin's explanation for FTC's lack of documentation for those transactions. Arnott disagreed with Harrington, yet refused to do disagreement procedures because as an audit engagement partner Harrington will make the final decision, and also he might jeopardize his job with Fox and Company if he followed it. Once again, on 1981, FTC recorded $13 million of non-existent revenue through FTC's Cayman Ltd. The only documentation that was made was trial balance, general ledger, and general journal. FTC officials gave the auditors the fiscal bank statement for FTC Cayman. This bank statement were the only evidence. It was not obtained directly from the subsidiary bank, but instead were given the auditors by the FTC employee. This is too suspicious. SEC investigation of 80 and 81 FTC audit culminated in sanction imposed Rubin and the auditors. SEC stressed the need for members of an audit engagement team to maintain an independent state of mind, even if that means jeopardizing their job. The confirmation procedure are really incompetent, for Harrington easily agreed to whatever Rubin said without proving the validity of the information and the documents. Fox should have seen the risk when the auditors are associated with the client that is doing fraud. High-risk signals are coming from FTC, such as inadequate capital and how they are doing really well with almost no career and plans on their own. Besides, Arnott should have acted more professional instead of scared of jeopardizing his job. He should have went to find more evidence and insist that the revenue have no evidence and cannot be published. So, what Fox Company should do? They have to double-check the evidence by themselves. For example, they should check Cayman Island law, including the bank secrecy law. Other things that they should have considered during the planning of the audit is noticing the inadequate capital, the lack of evidence of the transaction, and also their dependence on limited product offering. In other words, the auditors have to be strict and specific while looking for data from both internal and external parties. They can take these specific measures to ensure that the client-imposed pressure does not affect the quality of independent audit. They need to clearly identify the client and auditor's responsibility in audit process. Therefore, it can be useful for an assurance when things go wrong during the audit. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.
created using Powtoon.